We've officially made it under 10 days, 9 days until the NFL draft. So really we're getting in the nitty-gritty of evaluating players and their draft stock, specifically those that aren't, the most popular talked about. Pete Prisco going above and beyond. It is time for him to say, I told you so, or maybe next year or the year after he'll say, I told you so. These are players that are maybe being overlooked in the draft, but could very well be elite NFL players, teams that should really take a hard look at them. If you don't believe in Pete's work, take a look at some of the notable players on his previous Better Than teams. Pete, you're sitting here with us. Who are you the most? You got Travis Kelce, Dak Prescott, George Kittle, Tank Dell, Levante David. Who are you the most proud of kind of digging in the, what do you call it, a mine? In the weeds?
Yeah, Zach Tom to me, because he's a Pro Bowl caliber tackle and he was drafted very late. That one hit for me. That was a big one.
I was going to say, what's the structure for the list? Because if they're a second-round pick, does that still count as better then?
Yeah, because some teams, yeah. Actually,
okay.
Yeah.
I was just asking.
Well,
I didn't know what
many second-round
picks on that list.
I know. I saw James Cook was on there, and there was one other guy that was second-round pick.
But when leading into the process, a lot of the times guys don't think they're going to be second or third-round picks. So if they do, they follow my lead. That's how I feel.
Okay, all right, let's get into this. Let's start with the captain of your Better Than team, Oregon defensive lineman Jamari Caldwell. Why is he the captain?
Well, when you watch him, he's just a dominant, physical, inside player. He's a little overweight. He needs to trim down a little bit. And I think he
A lot of times we're talking about guys beefing up instead of trimming down.
He needs to trim down a little bit, but he is a dominant player. Transferred from Houston. At Houston, he had 6.5 sacks 2 years ago. Goes to Oregon, becomes a guy that has more guys on his defensive line, and yet he was still showing up on tape. He is a tremendous player. This is a play. By the way, it's 41-21 in this game. This is the fourth to last play of the game in the playoffs. Your season's over. Watch this. That's Donovan Jackson he's beaten to chase down Judkins down the sideline. Fourth to last play of the game, he's still playing like that at 335 pounds. That speaks volumes about a player.
Yeah, Pete, when you look at this defensive line, Derek Harmon is the guy that gets all the news clippings, right? They also have Birch. Both of those guys are probably going to go in the top 3 rounds. I think this kid is going to be better than both of them when it's all said and done, NFL career. Pete talked about it. Last year, 6.5 sacks. Now, because there were more defensive linemen, he didn't rush as much on third down, but he has some wiggle for a guy that's 330, 340 pounds. He put on a pass rush display at the Senior Bowl. So I'm glad that he's your captain because he's one of my draft darlings when it comes to being a diamond in the rough.
And look, there's one of these guys that when you watch the tape and the guy next to him, you start watching the guy next to him because you hear good things about him, and then you keep going back to that guy. That's what happened with him, and that's why I'm so high on him. I think he's going to be a starter in the league for a long time.
And I do want to mention in your article, you point out finding plays like that, and they really speak volumes to certain players. Coming up next, let's talk about the guy. Everybody's looking for edge rushers here. Josiah Stewart out of Michigan, and you called him the most violent defensive lineman in this draft. Are teams whiffing on this guy?
Look, he is one of those guys. He transferred from Coastal Carolina, went to Michigan, and the Michigan coaches rave about him. From everybody I've talked to, they say he's the best guy in terms of work ethic. And not only that, I talk about the violence because he looks for it. He searches it out. When there's a puller, one of the best things you can tell about a defensive end is if there's a puller, does he take him on? He takes him on. He smashes into him. He's a violent. That's a great defensive line he played on, and he was a dominant player at times on that defensive line. He's not a twitchy edge rusher. He's good enough with his quickness, but he has a lot of tools and he plays hard. He is going to be a productive player. The one concern is size. He's not a big edge player. A lot of teams think he might be a Sam linebacker. I think he can do both.
You know what helped him out? Nolan Smith and his growth last year, because they're kind of in that same mold where it's a guy that coming off the bus, you're like, oh, he's not the biggest guy. But you talked about it, the physicality he plays with. I'm right there with Pete. He's my #1 most physicalist edge in this draft. I think Nick Scorton is probably right behind him. But when you turn on the tape, I always like to see guys take on blocks, like you said, when there's pullers, whether it's the G scheme, the power scheme, the counterplay, and he knocks guards' helmets off. Like, he plays with that type of physicality. So you talk about a guy that's going to come in and help your culture and be more physical. That's Josiah Stewart. I think he'll go somewhere in the 3rd round.
Amanda, when you look at tape like that, if you see a guy do the old get out of the way,
chicken wing,
no, I don't want that guy on my team. You hit him, you smash him.
As you said, he's looking for violence out there. He's looking to hit someone. I'm curious with this next guy, how much teams are looking for players that can obviously do more than one thing. Cornerback out of Minnesota, Justin Wally here, and you mentioned, look, he doesn't necessarily just have to line up on the outside. What else can he do, and how attractive is that for teams?
Well, he ran 4.4, and I think a lot of people were surprised by. He the time he did run. He's not a big corner, so I think he needs to slide inside and become a slot corner. But he is a physical player. He's got great instincts. There's some injury concerns a little bit, but I think this is one of those guys that you draft him, you make him your nickel corner, and he becomes a productive player for a long time. And if you need him to play outside, he can play outside.
I love that he has the versatility to kick inside. I go back to a play versus Penn State. Tyler Warren catches it in the flat, and he's giving about 70 pounds on Tyler Warren. He had Tyler Warren going backwards at 190. That's the mindset this kid plays with. So he's another guy that's probably going to go maybe 4th round. That's going to be a productive guy in the slot to start, but in the pinch, he can kick outside as well.
And he can blitz. He blitzed off the edge a little bit, and he's, when you play that nickel, you want that guy to come up and be able to rush the quarterback sometimes.
And people love Tyler Warren, likely be the first tight end drafted next Thursday. Let's talk about the quarterbacks here, and I'm very interested because some people are talking a lot about Kyle McCord. Some people are not talking a lot about him. Like, you love him. Ryan Wilson loves him. Why is he not getting the talk that some of these other quarterbacks, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe?
Well, I think some of that has to do with the fact that he transferred from Ohio State. There was bad blood between the two of them when they left there, so there's a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths because, they didn't exactly give him glowing recommendation. He threw for the most yards in college football last year. He had the most big plays down the field throwing the football in college football last year. I love the way he plays the game. Now, there are concerns. He's not a great athlete. At times, he predetermines where he goes with the football. From everybody I've talked to in the league, he's been great on the board with the whiteboard and breaking down offensive football. They love that. He's tough. He stands in. He takes shots. Not a great arm, a good arm, but he reminds me a little bit of a less athletic Baker Mayfield. That's what he reminds me of.
I think his throw motion to me reminds me of Carson Palmer, right? He really has that long release that spits the ball out. And the thing about quarterbacks, I always like to see how they handle adversity. You talked about it, being at Ohio State, everything he went through there, transfers to Syracuse, and they were a team that was almost in a rebuild. And he takes them to double-digit wins. So that lets you know he has the mental fortitude to bounce back at the quarterback position. So I'm like, Pete, I'm really high on him. I think he could go as high as the 2nd round. He's a guy that's going to be a consummate pro. And when you talk about processing and knowing where to go with the football, that's what Kyle McCord does.
The quarterback who just won the Super Bowl had to go through a lot of adversity. Similar situation for Jalen Hurts. Do you think, Pete, I think I've heard you say he could potentially be the best quarterback in this class?
I don't love this quarterback class. What I would do is I'm going to say I would take Kyle McCord in the 2nd or 3rd round before I take anybody else in the 1st round. That's just me. Okay. I don't love the quarterback class.
All right, that's fair enough. Let's go to the running back position. Obviously, everybody talking about Ashton Genty, and sure enough, Pete Prisco does have a couple running backs. Who do we need to know about?
Well, I mean, do look at these guys. These are the speed guys.
But he loves speed backs, man.
He likes violence and speed.
Yeah.
Two things to make Pete Prisco happy.
You got Tootin from Virginia Tech who can really run. I mean, he's the fastest guy at the combine for the running backs. He can explode, and he's a tough kid too. That's the thing about him. He's a tough kid. I mean, I could have made that run, but there's a play against Virginia where he bounces into the back of the offensive lineman and pops it outside and goes for a long touchdown run and makes it look easy. Nobody catches him. I love that. There is one concern. He's a little bit of a fumbler, and I think if I go to my other back, Jaden Blue, same kind of back. Speedy, can catch the ball out of the backfield. Once he gets into space, you're not going to catch him. But he also has a little bit of a fumbling problem. So I think you gotta take that into account when you look at him. But I love home run backs that scare the daylights out of defenses.
Yeah, and that's what both of these guys have, long speed. I know Jaden Blue, a lot of people thought he would maybe test Xavier Worthy's record in the 40. He's a guy that can really get down the field. You see it on these highlights. The thing I love about Tootin is, yes, he's not the biggest back, but he's built low to the ground. And like you talked about it, Pete, I don't think people give him enough credit for his contact balance in between the tackles. Because we saw it on the run right there. Head up with the safety, runs through the arm tackle, and it takes it another 60 yards to the house. So both of these guys are explosive. I think from day one, you see it, the pass catching ability. They'll be able to help you out on 3rd down and then maybe develop into starting running backs.
We've taken a look at some notable players on Pete Prisco's Better Than Team. By the way, you can find the entire article, CBSSports.com. Taking a look at the offense, Pete, we're going to go through the offense and the defense. We talked about a couple of these guys. Who else is notable that we should know about?
Well, I love Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor might end up being the best pass-catching tight end of all of them. That's how good he is, the son of Jason Taylor, the tight end at LSU. If you're looking for an offensive lineman, Emory Jones played right tackle at LSU. He's going to slide inside, I think, and become a dominant guard. I think Milam's going to go inside and play guard as well. You have two guys in the same type of situations.
Let's go to the, go ahead.
I was going to say Savion Williams. I like that you put him there. He's like weapon next. He's a guy that can line up in the backfield. You can put him out at receiver, and he's just a physical specimen at 220 pounds. He's really tough to bring down.
defense. Lige, we'll start with you.
Brian, I love that you have him on here. I think he's actually he's a second-round pick for me. He may slide into the third. Long-built defensive lineman. I think in a 3-4 system, does a really good job getting on the edge of guards and being able to give you that interior pass rush. Tyler Batty, I know you like him a lot. This is a guy that's probably going to go late in the draft, but he's going to play like 8 to 10 years because he just plays extremely hard and is always in the right place at the right time.
He's a little older. He's, you know, he went on a Mormon mission, so he's a little older. And you know, a lot of these guys are later round guys. Tommy Hill's an interesting guy, and the reason I say that is Tommy Hill, if you watch the tape against Travis Hunter in Colorado, was outstanding. And then he hurt his foot. He had a plantar fasciitis injury, didn't run very well, didn't play the same, missed games, and so there's questions about him. But if he's healthy, go watch the tape against Travis Hunter. He was really good against him.
We're going to promo NFL and CBS, but Pete, I got to ask you, as we put this promo up, do teams reach out to you about this list, or have they said we do read it?
They ask. Yeah, they ask. Yeah? They read it. Over the years, they've all read it.
Okay, all right, just making
sure. And we exchange. They argue. When I put guys on, they argue with me, and I'll argue back.
And that is why you can find the best coverage of the NFL on CBS Sports HQ. Coming up, it's time for Lige to take over his top 5 defensive tackles in the draft. How excited, Lige, should we be about Mason Graham?
You should be very excited. This is a guy that provides that interior pass rush and can get after the quarterback.